Hi, welcome to the Caffeinali channel. This is the first video in which we will focus on an espresso machine with a double thermoblock, built-in grinder and PID temperature control. HiBrew H7A, is it worth buying? What are its pros and cons? Here's what I think about this machine. Out of the box, apart from the espresso machine, we will come across many essential accessories for every home barista. This is an electronic scale, a steel tamper, a milk jug, a 58mm portafilter with a double spout and handle, a double and single basket, a grinder air blower, a dose ring, and even a silicone tamping mat. Additionally, behind the drip tray there are additional accessories for cleaning the device. The accessories are made very well, although the scale is too big in my opinion. However, HiBrew changed this scale some time ago, and it looks much better. Personally, I prefer the bottomless portafilter, which can be purchased from the HiBrew website or from third-party sellers at a more acceptable price. The H7A design is quite nice, but I do not like its build quality. The casing of the device is made mostly of plastic. The exceptions are the drip tray, the group head, and of course the steam wand. If you want to take this machine apart, for example to modify the OPV, which is also not easy, you need to be aware of the risk of damaging the casing latches. I took that risk and modified this machine because in its default configuration it is troublesome. I'll explain why in a moment. This machine has a 2.7-liter water tank without any water filter cartridge. This capacity is definitely enough for home use. HiBrew H7A is equipped with two thermoblocks, one for coffee extraction, the second one for steam. This means you can extract espresso and steam milk at the same time. You don't have to wait for the thermoblock to heat up after extracting the coffee. You can start steaming immediately. After steaming, you don't have to cool down the heating system. You can quickly prepare another espresso. With PID, you can adjust the extraction temperature in 2-degree increments. By long pressing the settings button, you can select the temperature. Each button from left to right, excluding the settings button, has an assigned temperature: 90, 92, 94, and 96 degrees. After pressing the appropriate button and the settings button again, or waiting a few seconds, the setting will be saved. I tested the temperature stability, and it is quite typical for cheap thermoblock coffee machines. Initially, the extraction reaches the set temperature or even a little higher, but the temperature is not very stable and drops. This means that either the temperature control is not the best here, or my measurement methods need to be improved soon. Both the grinding time and the extraction volume can be saved by pressing and holding the appropriate button until you want to stop grinding extraction. However, it should be noted that these are not consistent settings, and it is always worth supporting yourself with the scale. By double pressing the settings button, the counter of coffees made will be displayed. The value is saved when the entire saved extraction is reached. This means that if you manually stop the extraction, the value will not be added. For the single coffee button, the value 1 will be added, and for double, 2. A descaling program is also available with a reminder to descal after every 15 liters of water. According to the manufacturer, this machine has a built-in pre-infusion that cannot be turned off or set. I am not sure how it works, because as soon as you press the extraction button, the pump starts working immediately without the interruptions that are typical of most machines. Interestingly, it takes about 7 seconds for the pressure on the manometer to start rising, which may actually mean low pressure pre-infusion without interruption in the pump's operation. The HiBrew H7A machine is equipped with a conical 5-core steel grinder with a container that holds about 250 grams of beans. Unfortunately, in my case, I had to set the grinder practically to the smallest level to obtain the proper extraction of espresso. I made a small modification, thanks to which I can grind at a level of about 0. Further modification exceeded the 0 level, causing audible rubbing of the burrs. Grinding is surprisingly fast. 18 grams of medium roast coffee is ground in about 10 seconds. The LED lighting is turned on while grinding coffee, which is a nice addition. Grinder retention varies depending on dose and if I use RDT. With RDT, it is about 0.5 grams, without it about 2 grams. The grinder construction is leaky. Inside the machine, there is a big mess of coffee particles. In my opinion, this situation is unacceptable and may cause failures. Let's make a cappuccino. First, I prepare the pack. I use 18 grams fresh medium roast coffee, I prefer to use my external grinder, HiBrew G5. I use the stock double basket. Then I do the WDT. Use the leveling tool and tamp it down with the tamper. Let's see how the extraction looks after my OPV modifications. The extraction looks good and the espresso is very tasty. The steam nozzle allows rotation in various directions, although it is quite limited. By default, it includes a tip with 1 hole, but you can also buy a tip with 3 holes. The steaming time of the milk to the right consistency is definitely too long and is an average of 63 seconds. The advantage of this machine is that it does not inject too much water into the milk, about 16 grams per 200 milliliters of milk. I have managed to create many latte art designs with this machine. For home use, the steaming is sufficient, although for me, a bit inconvenient. Since I was recording, my latte art didn't come out the best, but it's still a tasty cappuccino. The H7A has a safety valve OPV, which is set to about 15 bar by default. Changing this configuration, however, requires disassembling the entire machine, including the lower housing, display and upper housing, as well as using a different hose, because after setting the OPV to about 10.5 bar, you cannot install the part that drains the water to the tank. This means that I cannot recommend modifying this machine, as it requires the use of external parts, voids the warranty, and is a lot of work, as disassembling it is very difficult due to the poor quality of the housing. Interestingly, setting the OPV to a lower value also means reducing the water flow, which turned out to be the desired effect in my case. The default flow is definitely too high. Thanks to this modification, I achieved a profile similar to lever machines: 18 grams in, 36 grams out, pressure rising to 9 bar and falling to about 6 bar in about 27 seconds. Unfortunately, the default configuration makes it impossible to extract a proper and tasty espresso. When you grind the coffee to reach about 9 bars, the extraction will end after about 20 seconds, so you have to grind finer. But this means a significant increase in pressure to up to 12 bars. The extraction pump used is Ulka EP4, and the steam pump is J&J PC-4. It also has a 3-way solenoid valve, the operation of which is incredibly irritating. In the case of extraction, its force is absolutely too small and ineffective. I noticed that it also activates in the case of steaming, sucking in milk, or steam itself. After extraction, a lot of coffee still spills on the drip tray, and after removing the portafilter, some water can spill around. I recommend waiting a minute or two before removing the portafilter. Backflush is possible, but it always ends with a mess around. So let's get to the conclusion of this review. The HiBrew H7A seems to be a fairly complete all-in-one coffee machine. Unfortunately, its numerous design flaws, inefficiencies, and low-quality casing mean that I cannot recommend it. The manufacturer advertises that it is a double boiler, misleading customers because it is actually a double thermoblock. I am curious about your opinion about this machine and other HiBrew products. Thanks for watching, subscribe to the channel to keep up with my reviews. See you in the next video.